We're celebrating the big 3-0 today. Welcome to episode 30. It's kind of mind blowing to imagine 30 episodes of yoga with me. And hopefully, you have a block, maybe a belt or a bench, just or even just a folded towel, because the first pose we'll do, we will, need some elevation under the feet. But today I thought we might play with one of my fun poses at the end of, I think it's anantasana, which is a sage, opposed to a sage, but it relates to the side body and a bit of hip opening and a bit of just feeling that length and stabilizing one side of the body to open the other side of the body. So we'll see how we go, and enjoy the class. And perhaps as we're going through the class today, you might just notice, what is your intention with yoga? Are you just trying to have a stronger body? Are you trying to be more relaxed? Are you trying to master some of the poses, perhaps? And there's no right or wrong in any of this, but it's just always a good idea to every now and then just notice, you know, what you are focusing on or what your goal might be. And it'll change over time. And for me, the key is encouraging you to really listen deeply to your body. Let's begin. So I might show this with my bolster, but you can have anything folded just to give yourself elevation. Actually, I could show it with the bench, the stool, or whatever this thing is called. But we're just going to start with just a slight elevation in the legs, and then just focusing on the pelvis softening into the floor, really widening, and this gives you just a little bit of an elevation. So on a bolster, it might look like this, just with the legs here. But bring a little bit of flexion into your feet to engage the legs, and then we're taking the weight off the lower spine. And you might want to take the thumb and the middle finger and just find that relationship with the lower rib and the pelvis. So you're just checking in to see if there's some evenness through the pelvis here, and becoming acquainted with, that sensation. What kind of sensation you feel in the sacrum behind you? Does it feel even, or do you feel like you need to really lengthen one leg or lengthen through both feet? And, you might even just roll the pelvis a little bit side to side here, just in case there's a little bit of tension in the back of the pelvis, in the sacrum. And then see if even here you can press through the heels and feel that connection to the sit bone. So we're just trying to find a little bit of evenness in your body here, in the pelvis. And then take the right leg and bend it up, and just depending on your hip, you can actually start this on the thigh towards the knee. So you want to keep activating the other leg. It's not actually like you're doing tree pose, but because you're crossing the foot over. But this could be a variation in tree pose. So we'll stay here for a few breaths just to get length through the knee. You might even feel a little bit of opposite side of the abdominals here, pressing down. And if you're a little bit more open in the hips, you can challenge it a little bit and bring the heel up closer into your thigh socket. But again, you have to play this by ear with your own body. It could be that you need to stay by the knee towards the bottom of the thigh or mid-thigh. If you come up a little higher, of course, you can hold the foot. But the idea is to open from the hip and not the knee. And then take the foot into tree pose here. And the idea is to feel how the pelvis either wants to roll, so the knee wants to roll out, but see if you can really work the thigh and the foot together and contract the pelvis, really getting an evenness through the pelvis here. And then if you want to hold your thigh underneath with the leg, you can extend it out and open it wide. So you're still working back into those left side abdominals. And then again, you can bend from the knee and come back into reclining tree pose. It's a bit reclining. And then release that leg down. Now you may notice, is there a shift or has the pelvis stayed pretty even? So we're creating a kind of awareness so that things like when we do things reclining, we can then take it later to standing, hopefully. So again, bend the left knee in and bring that ankle towards the knee, but just above it on the thigh. Just see how you go with your hips. And if this is where you need to stay today, stay there. And you know, if you want a little more action or activity here, you can really press into those side abdominals and really press through the heels so you can connect underneath into the sit bone. And then if you want to bring it a little bit higher, you can come a little higher, or if you want to hold the foot, you can bring it up to that crease in the thigh socket, and then the openings from the hips. But again, just notice what's happened to your hips. Do you need to press on that opposite side more? So it's just trying to bring awareness into the pelvis, into the sacrum, into the abdominals. And then bring that foot into tree on this side. So this is where you can feel the pressure of the foot and the thigh in towards each other. And then that right side abdominals engaging. And then take the hand under the thigh, and you can open the leg wide. Sort of stretching in that inner thigh. And then bend the knee, bring that foot into tree pose again. See if you notice what's happening in the pelvis, in the sacrum. And then release the legs down, and then just notice how your pelvis is, how your sacrum is. And then just bend the feet onto the floor, knees bent. And again, reconnect into the pelvis, finding the sacrum here. And then you have a few choices with the hands, palms down, arms underneath, or you can extend overhead. And we'll inhale the knees to the chest, really extend through the heels. Exhale the knees to the chest, softening the feet down. So again, you can do this at your own speed. You can do more reps, or you can slow it way down. So whichever is going to give you the most benefit today, or whatever's going on with your energy level. You know, you could want to do a lot of reps because you really want to do some more quick things. Or you might just want to slow it down and really feel deep into those abdominals, into the backs of the legs. And then do 2 more in whatever way you've been doing it. And then place the feet on the floor. A couple of breaths there. And then again, take that right ankle across that left knee. Extend the leg out, and depending on your body, you can either hover it to the floor or you can bring it a little higher. And we're going to inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up. And of course, you can play with the range of movement. You want more stretch in the outer hip, you can bring the shin towards the forehead. Or you can have a range like just this part of the range. So whatever your edge is, whatever going on for your body, do it for you. And the next time the leg comes up, see if you can stretch through that heel, really open the back of the leg and then that outer hip without bringing the knee into the chest. You still want to keep it open. And then bend that knee, place the foot on the floor, and place the right foot down on the floor. And again, just check in with what's going on with your sacrum or what's going on with your pelvis. And then bend the other leg in and extend the heel long. And again, whatever range of motion you want to do with this pose. You can focus on exhale down, inhale up, or you can focus on inhale down, exhale up. So they each have a slightly altered experience. So it's always good to wake up the habits in the body. So if you're always exhaling down, it's good to practice exhaling up. And then when you get to the top again, you can press the shin towards the forehead, opening the side hip or the outer thigh, and also extending through the back of the straight leg. And then bend the knee, foot on the floor, and roll over to your side. And then come into tucking the toes under, walk the hands forward, and we're bringing the pelvis in the complete opposite direction. So you can go for a shoulder stretch. Come up and place the feet down, hands underneath the shoulder, and then moving the bench there. Tuck the toes under and go into a downward facing dog. See if you can really press into the hands, really lift the thighs so that the sit bones are really coming up towards the ceiling. And then bend the knees down and go into big toes together, knees wide. And then inhale, coming up to all four, tuck the toes under into a downward facing dog. Just to wake up the body a little bit, come into plank pose. If you feel up to it, you can come into side plank or put a foot in front for support. Coming back into plank. Meanwhile, you could stay in plank and not do side plank, and then come to the other side. And come back to plank. You really want to feel how you can connect and use the strength in one side as you open the other side. And then come down into big toes together, knees wide. So you really engage the underside of the body when you go into side plank. Just a little bit of heating to warm up the body. And again, if that doesn't feel right for you, just do plank. And if plank doesn't feel right, you can stay in downward dog. So we'll just cycle through that one more time as a warm-up. So inhale, tuck the toes under to downward dog. Adho Mukha. Inhale to plank pose. Really feeling that connection from the head to the tail. And then coming over to the right side into side plank. Coming back through plank and coming to the other side. Coming back through plank and big toes together, knees wide. So a little bit of a taster in the planks. And some days you're going to feel like you can really handle that, and some days you're not going to feel like you want to do it at all. And then come up to all fours again. Come into downward facing. And then slowly walk your feet towards your hands. And then you can bend the knees a bit and just shake out the head a little bit.
And then as you roll up, I want you to pay attention to that sacrum. We've been sort of focusing on that today. So as you come up, can you feel where the sacrum is? You can use the hands if that helps you come up to standing. And then we'll stand in the middle of the mat. And you can, bring the hands on the hips if that really helps give you that feedback of how the hips are sitting. Are you feeling one side lifts a little higher? But perhaps lift the toes to see if engaging those instep might help even out the legs if you're feeling a little bit like you're shifting to one side. And then just soften the toes down. And then if you want to put the hands, on the sacrum area, you can just, guide that length and, just feel that length there. And then take the arms up into Urdhva Hastasana and see if you can really feel that length through the fingertips, the toe tips. And then I'm going over to my left leg. You can start with your right if you'd like and do mirror image. And you're going to really stand on that side of the body. Feel that length. And then see if you can slowly bring the other foot into tree, wherever it lands. It might not land on the thigh. It might land on the calf muscle or the ankle, and that's all right. And then slowly slide that foot down and come into Urdhva Hastasana again, arms overhead pose. And then really plant the opposite foot and slowly slide the foot to tree. And sliding that foot down, both legs down, exhale the arms down. That was a long space with the arms overhead. And just tune in again to that sacrum. Notice how, if you can feel it at all, maybe you have no sensation of it and maybe you can just feel the legs coming into the pelvis. So don't worry about it. See if you can imagine the tailbone dropping down. Maybe that's difficult, but there's a lot of ways to try to come into connection with places like that in the body. So for the next tree pose, we will shift to the leg and then just bring that foot up and bring the hands into prayer position and find that stability as best you can. And see if you can tune into that sacrum again. And then take the opposite hand on the standing leg and we'll go into the variation of hand to big toe pose. We'll just hold the leg here though. And then bring it back into tree, hands in prayer, and the foot down, arms down. And then coming to the opposite leg, bringing the foot up, hands in prayer. And then if you can put the hand on the opposite leg and just hold the thigh Whew, I'm going to fall over now. Balance is a momentary thing. It's sometimes you're very stable and sometimes you're more mobile. And then bring that foot in and hands in prayer and the foot down and hands next to you. And then we'll just try one more variation. So hand to the hip that the body's going to stay stable. Reach down and just hold your big toes. And you can just stay here. If that's the only place you can be, that's fine. If you want to go further, you can try to extend it out. And then bring it back in and the foot down. So you've got a couple of ways you can play with it. And if all else, you can always also just hold at the shin there too. But it's nice to at least get this grip with the toe, so the first two fingers and the thumb, and just staying here can be stabilizing. So you're really stabilizing one side to then find the mobility in the other side. If you want to straighten the leg, you can. If not, don't worry about it. And then bring that foot in and bring it down. And a couple of breaths here in Tadasana. And then we'll come into a little bit of some standing poses. We'll just step out wide today. And you got a little bend in the knee. And then I'll do mirror image. So right foot toe to heel, left foot heel to toe. And then really extend the arms out, coming into Utthita Trikonasana, extended triangle pose. Really engage the abdominals. Looking up to the top hand if your head and neck is okay. And then slowly coming up. Bring the feet parallel. And then coming to the other side. Extending the arm, finding the thigh or the shin. Top arm comes up. And maybe your triangle feel a little bit more stable after playing around with those balancing poses. And then just keep the legs there, bring the arms down. A couple of breaths here. And then we will go into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. So again, a little bend in the knee, left foot toe to heel, right foot heel to toe. So as we come down through triangle pose, you're going to start to bend the bottom leg. Now, if you've got something for your hand, great, but you can also just put the fingers on the floor and slowly bring that bottom leg up. If you need to keep some bend in the front knee, you can, but see if you can really extend through that top leg. And then bend the front leg, and you can come back into triangle pose, and then slowly come up. And then the feet can come parallel. So again, we're, stabilizing the bottom side on the quiet side and really opening up the top side. So pivoting around as you start to go into triangle and you start to bend that leg, This is where, you know, the bench and the chair can come in really handy for this pose if you have trouble with your balance. Yeah. But you can keep the hand on the floor with the front leg bent and then really lift the back leg up. Find that balance. Then bend the front leg. Really extend the back foot long, and you can come into perhaps a wider triangle. And then inhale, slowly come up. Bring the feet parallel. And coming back into Tadasana just for a few breaths to slow down the heart rate. So come down on your right side, and I'll face you both times. So you really, it's like your whole body's in Tadasana, but you're on one side. So like half moon Ardha Chandrasana, the side that's on the floor stays really quiet. Find that length, and then see if you can, now that you're on your side, see if you can feel what's going on in the sacrum. You might have completely lost awareness. And that's okay. You know, it's just a way to practice. And then as you bend the elbow up and support your head, we'll do this a couple of times. So we'll go through some variations. So the first part is to just bring the top foot into tree pose. So it's like we did this line on our back, we did this standing, and now we're doing it on our side. So what do you notice has to happen in your body to bring it in this direction? So there's still a balancing, there's still an engagement in the core body, and the sacrum's in there somehow. And then extend that top leg, and I'll come to the other side. So again, the bottom part of the body is the quiet side, like an Ardha Chandrasana. Then you bend the elbow hand on under the head. So this is the stabilizing side. And then you can keep the hand in front of you just to keep yourself from rolling forward or rolling back. And then slowly slide up the top leg into side tree, it would be like, right? Line on your side, hanging out, tree pose. And then slowly slide that foot down, and we'll come back to the other side. This is lying down watching TV pose. or it's one way you can use it. So finding that length in the side underneath you. So in my case, it's my right side. So find that length first, bending at the elbow, finding the head, slowly bringing the leg up. This time, hold the toe with the first two fingers and the thumb. And if you want to just stay there, stay there. You might re-stabilize the bottom leg. And then if you can slowly start to extend it. And you can keep it here. And you do see, perhaps notice that you have to really engage those abdominals to find this pose. But just go to where it works for you today. And then bending the leg. Bring it down long, finding that length in the body. And then just changing sides. And for you, you could just roll over and come to the other side. For me, I want to be able to talk to the camera and not ignore you. So finding the stability in the underside of the body, for me, it's the left side. So really finding that length, then bending at the elbow to support my head so I can lean my head back into the hand. Then bringing the top leg into tree pose. And then holding the big toe and the thumb. Now, here's again where you can restabilize the lower body, really press through the bottom foot. And then if you want to go further, you can try to extend the leg or not, or keep it bent, or even hold it under the calf muscle. But it is nice to get this grip. There's a sort of nice feeling about that, because then you can also work on rolling the shoulder blade down too. And you do get some arm work here too. You can really engage that bicep, bring that tricep into the bone. And then bending that leg. Find the length again. And then whatever you need for Shavasana. So,
And whatever pose you have chosen to finish the practice for today, first of all, check in and see if you can notice your sacrum at all. It's fine if your awareness is drawn elsewhere, but see if you can just feel that widening and into the sacrum. And maybe there's some ease in your thigh sockets or ease in the pelvis. Maybe there's more breath coming into the pelvis. And then see if you can feel the weight of your legs. Just letting the weight of your legs settle into whatever position they're in. Becoming heavier and heavier and heavier. So that crease where the legs meet the hips, that area softens. And then just notice how the legs and the hips connect into the rib cage and the shoulder girdle. And see if you can find the weight in the rib cage and the shoulder girdle coming into the mat, into the floor. And then see if you can feel the weight of your arms, whatever position they're in, if they're next to your sides or in some other way. See if you can feel just the weight of your arms softening into the shoulder girdle so that the breath really moves into your armpits. And then see if you can feel the weight in your head. and how the mat, the floor really supports the back of your head. And you can release the weight of your head. You can imagine that I'm holding the back of your head and base of your head with my hands, just holding and supporting the back of your head. And then slowly begin to reawaken your body with a bit of movement, deepening your breath, maybe a stretch through your hands and feet. And then you can roll your side and come up in your own time to sitting. And perhaps throughout the day or tomorrow, you can really just every now and then notice what's happening with your sacrum, what's happening with your pelvis. Are you feeling space, that you can sit well on your sit bones? Just noticing what's happening. Is the breath really moving freely? And thank you for being here for episode 30. Namaste.